Series on AWS Developer Associate. In this series, we are discussing about the code commit and code pipeline. Previous videos, we are discussing about the foundational practices of code pipeline and code commit. In this video, we are going to discuss AWS code pipeline and code commit practical setup and usage. I will walk you through the how to set up fully CI and CD pipelines using code commit and code pipeline. Creating code commit repository, code commit and AWS console to create repository configuration git, use SSH or setup credential helper for HTTPS. Start by creating a repository in the AWS management console. You can then configure your git remote to point to code commit. Use HTTPS or SSH based on your setup. It's just like working with the GitHub but secured by AWS. Git workflow with the code commit. Typically, Git activities are applicable. Git clone, Git checkout, B future branch, Git commit M, added login future, Git push origin future branch, pull request for workflow disciplines in enforced by merge policies. Once the repo is ready, the developer workflow stays familiar. Clone branch, commit and push. Code commit supports pull request, branch permission, and code review integration. Building code pipeline in console. Navigate to code pipeline to pipeline creation. Select code commit as the source to add it. Add build. Code build project not required but frequently used. Add deploy. Select Lambda, EC2, ECS, or Elastic Beanstalk. Describe artic at every level. In code pipeline, define your stages, source from code commit, build using code build, and deploy via code deploy or other targets. You can also insert manual approvals or testing action in between. This is a sample YML code. Code requires a build space.yml file to define the build steps. Here is an example of using moven. This file is stored at the root of your repo and tells code build exactly what you install, build, and archive. Main thing is like we have to save in the root of repo, supports custom enrollments, and dependencies for catching. Deployment targets in AWS. For full stack applications, Java, Python, etc., Elastic Beans, ECS installs containers EC2 or Fragment, code deploy for EC2, install and execute scripts for the EC2 fleet Lambda, immediately implement serverless functions. Code Pipeline can deploy your app to Beanstalk, ECS, Lambda, or even fleet of EC2 instance using code deploy. The deployment method depends on your architectures. IAM setup and access. Every stage requires a role with the fewest possible permissions. Typical roles include code build services roles, code pipeline services role, and others. Make use the bespoke or AWS managed policies for third party repos, secure gate credentials, and security manager. Each stage in the pipeline uses an role. Make sure you assign the least privilege necessary. AWS provides managed policies for each service, or you can define custom roles. Code is pushed by the developer to code commit. Pipeline triggers on their own. Build phase test and compilations. Production is pushed via the deploy phases. Log for success and failure are accessible via CloudWatch. Notifications by email or SNS are optional. CD in action pipeline flow. Once you push the code to code commit, the pipeline automatically triggers. The code moves through build and deploy stages, CloudWatch show logs, and you can track everything in a console. Hands-on checklist. Establish a code commit repository. Push code from the local Git repository. Describe the sources, build, and deploy phases of the pipeline. Push build space. Fish. Put buildspace.yml in the project root and assign the least privileged IAM roles. Using a commit, start the pipeline. Keep on an eye on build using CloudWatch logs, examine the deployment outcomes and metric gaps. Before moving and make sure this you have to complete all these steps, create your repo, push code, configuration pipeline, define and the deployment. You have now built a full AWS CD and CI pipelines. Thank you.